Hey Bashar, this is Michael from Tel Aviv, Israel, and I'm excited to be asking you a question. So my understanding is that when we want to manifest things that we prefer, it's not about forcing anything or making anything happen. It's about allowing the manifestations to come as they need to when we are in the state we prefer. My question is, does that idea work for inner states of being as well? In other words, am I supposed to bring awareness to whatever's going on in my mind and allow the energy from my higher mind to flow through? Or should I be reaching for that higher energy, the higher mind, in a more conscious way? Thank you and good day.
Yes, the idea of reaching is, in a more conscious way, following the formula. That's why we give it to you. So that by following the formula, you allow the automatic to happen. And that is the increase in your frequency, which makes it easier for you to recognize the flow of communication from the higher mind.
Good day, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
My deepest appreciation for you and Darryl and April and Emmy and Desiree and everybody there for this opportunity. I appreciate having this chance to talk to you in this way. So thank you so much.
And our deep appreciation to you as well.
And I also want to say happy belated birthday. You and I have birthdays one day apart. So wishing you a happy belated birthday.
Thank you very much. And to you as well.
Thank you, Bashar. So my first question is, I'm having a lot of significance with birds. So right before this interaction, we saw a big bald eagle sitting in a tree outside the window.
How exciting.
It is exciting. And hawks tend to be a synchronicity sign. I've had some experience with some owls lately.
Oh, all right.
And then my favorite has been crows. So I've been really connected to this crow family that's nearby, and I interact with them on a regular basis. We go on walks, and they kind of come around and they hang out on the ground with us.
Yes.
And now I'm starting to notice that where I go and other places, there's crows that are not related that tend to do the same thing sometimes. So I wanted to see if there's any insight that you have to that.
Well, first, of course, and foremost, do remember that in synchronous symbolism, with a program that you have on Earth, you are, when you interact with those beings, actually walking with dinosaurs. You know this, yes?
I want to hear more.
Do you understand that birds are an evolutionary offshoot of one branch of the dinosaurs? That's why many scientists, now that they understand that some dinosaurs evolved into birds, actually refer to birds now, more scientifically, as avian dinosaurs. So you are walking with dinosaurs, which means you are connected to the idea of ancient experience, speaking linearly for a moment. You are picking up ancient experiences, grounding yourself in the very early eras of Earth and bringing them into the present, where the dinosaurs have learned to soar and fly and carry those ancient vibrations into the sky. So they form, in a sense, a link and a bridge between the earth and the sky, and those that can allow themselves to align with them in certain ways are also vibrationally carried aloft and yet remain connected to the ancient past, the ancient wisdoms, the ancient experiences in a timeless way.
I love that. So I guess my next question is there anything, obviously acting on my excitement, I understand that is the formula. Is there anything as far as communication with them that you can encourage or would give me any tips to make our interaction even more enriching?
Well, what has your imagination provided for you?
I haven't really tried to communicate with them. I just haven't felt the impulse yet, but I think that would be exciting at some point to start to communicate with them.
Then I would ask the first question is, if that is something you would find exciting, what is preventing you from using your imagination to figure out ways in which you would enjoy doing so?
Yeah, that's, I haven't thought of that, but I think it's just doing it. It's just silly just to, just do it.
You're kind of putting an imaginary block there that doesn't need to exist.
Sure. And thanks for helping me become aware of that.
All right. Well, allow yourself to fly then, and expand your imagination and come up with all sorts of ways in which you could begin to communicate more clearly with them. One suggestion we might have that might help you, might assist you in this journey, is to look at the different birds that you said you were attracted to and recognize for yourself what each species actually symbolizes, represents to you energetically or symbolically. That can give you some insight as to how to relate to each of those different kinds of birds.
Okay.
All right?
I love that. Thank you.
All right.
My next thing I want to ask about is I recently went to Sedona for the first time and had a pretty magical, mystical experience there.
All right. How exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you. And so there was a sunrise hike that I did to Bell Rock, and my girlfriend and I were there for a few days, and we did see a craft every night. And I did see the craft before my hike on Bell Rock. And I'm curious, because it was close to Bell Rock, if you could help me identify who that was.
Nope. Not yet.
Okay.
You're in process. Things will unfold. You'll get the information that you need, but not quite yet.
Okay. And then my next experience was we were doing a hot springs adventure at Mystic Hot Springs in Utah. And I did happen to see 3 grays, that 2 of them, so they were standing up on the hillside. It was interesting because 2 of them kept merging into one. Yeah. And it was a quick experience. And then later that evening, we went to sleep early, and it felt like I was dreaming all night long. And I know you've explained that it happens right as you're waking up, that it's being translated into our consciousness, but it felt like it was a long experience. And
yes. Well, the real experience did happen over a span of time. I'm just simply saying that what you wake up with as you remember as a dream is simply symbols that are created just before you wake up.
Okay. And so in that dream, there was the experience that we were on a craft with these 3 grays, the 2 of them kept merging into one.
We'll stop there for one moment.
Okay.
What you're describing is not literally physically happening to them that way. What you're experiencing is what might be called interdimensional lensing, where it's an expression of how they're interjecting themselves into your reality that makes it appear as if they're merging into one another. Not that that's actually physically happening. It's more of an optical illusion.
Okay. And so then we woke up, and then it was just, she actually had some physical illness after it.
Yes.
She didn't have the experience of the dream. She just felt the shift, and she felt the energy of it, but she didn't have any memory of it.
That's all right. It doesn't mean there wasn't some experience just because she doesn't remember.
Right. So in the morning when we went to leave our cabin, there was an interesting footprint on the door. It only had, from what I recall, it only had 4 toes. And the foot was it wasn't bigger than our human feet, but it was oblong, if that makes sense, just the shape of it.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if you have any insight as to who that was, or if you have anything.
It was a gray.
Okay.
I don't think that's very mysterious.
I just wanted to see if you had anything else that you wanted to share about that experience.
Yes, it's a symbol that you have 1 foot in each reality.
It feels like that. And to kind of talk about that a little bit. So I know we're shifting billions of times per second, and it's the awareness that we're shifting. And so I'm feeling it vibrationally, I'm feeling it energetically. I'm seeing some signs, I'm seeing things physically that are also giving me that awareness. Do you have any tips as to what we can look for to be able to differentiate or have a distinguishment about the shifting, to notice that we really are shifting?
Again, if you need to notice, you will, but the formula we give you doesn't leave out the capacity to recognize those shifts in a different way more clearly. Remember that it leaves nothing relevant out. That's why we give you that instruction manual. And if you simply follow your passion and the rest of the implementation of the formula, you will raise your frequency. And as you raise your frequency, you'll make yourself a more receptive antenna for higher frequency information and awareness. So it's all included. Just keep going. Act on your passion as often as you can. Do it with no insistence on the outcome. Remain in a positive state. Explore yourself. Find the beliefs that work for you. Find the beliefs that don't and let them go. All of this will work together to give you more clarity and more perception of the shifts in the way that you need to.
Okay.
Hi, Bashar. It's Sheila from Lakeland, and I'm excited to ask you this question. This has to do with me being mistaken either for a celebrity or for someone people know, and I'm wondering what that could mean for me. So after a live event, at one of your live events in Sedona, people saw me and they thought I was the celebrity Frances Fisher, which was really awesome. But as I've traveled all over the globe, people often think I'm someone they know. In fact, I walked into a store and this gentleman walked up to me with open arms and said, "Pat," and he was so happy to see me, but I wasn't Pat. And people will say to me again and again, even after we realize that I'm not the person they think I am, they'll say, "But really, the way you speak and your gestures are just like this person that they know." And I'm wondering what to make of that. It feels like a compliment. It feels really nice, which is great, and maybe that's all there is. But maybe there's something more to it. I mean, when I'm connecting with people, I'm always really excited, like a like a Labrador puppy, to meet people. And it feels like such a good connection, like I'm allowing all that is and source to flow through me and focus on, the best in people and reflect back the best of myself, and all that feels awesome. I'm just wondering if there's something more to it or something that I could use about this thing where people think they know me. Thank you.
Well, again, the idea is that your excitement and desire to be of service in that way makes you a little bit of a chameleon. You will then take on whatever the vibration is that reflects back to them that familiarity, so they feel comfortable enough for you to communicate the energy to them that allows them to move forward in the way that they prefer to. So you're being of service by being a little bit of a reflection of whatever it is they feel they need to be comfortable in accepting that frequency within themselves so they can move forward.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Well, firstly, a big thank you for the opportunity to have this interaction.
And a big thank you to you as well for the co-creation of it.
Thank you. Before I'm going to ask my first question, I want to say that I understand that there are different ways to look at this, and that different individuals use different mechanisms for the creation of the experience of Alzheimer's disease.
Yes.
And you explained that in general, the majority of people that have the experience of having Alzheimer's has to do with them being in denial about their lives, that they wish to forget, that there is something in them that is to them so painful they cannot deal with it.
This is a very, very generalized response, but it is true for many people, although it is experienced in a multitude of different ways.
Okay. Because I was wondering, we call this process also dementia.
Yes.
It almost seems like the personality structure of the people going through this experience is somehow dissolving, and that they are shifting through different dimensions very rapidly.
Yes, all sorts of mental disorders that in some way, shape, or form reflect or represent an alteration of personality, be it the idea you call of dementia or Alzheimer's, or even dissociative personality disorder or schizophrenia. These things have one thing in common, in general, at their core. It is in some way, shape, or form an inability, due to either belief systems or what have you, to not allow different aspects of the personality to harmonize and blend in a coherent way for the reality that they chose to be in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. And I was also wondering, but what's happening on a soul level? How is the soul experiencing this process?
Well, again, it depends upon the reason why a soul may have agreed to have these kinds of experiences, or for the purposes that the soul needs those experiences, or simply in the way that the soul chooses to use them. So it will vary from soul to soul. But overall, the idea is one of seeking integration by creating dissociation, what appears to be disconnection, and then going through the process to arrive at a realization that disconnection is not real, but only an illusion. And that the paradox is, in order to actually have an experience of disconnection, you actually have to be connected. You have to be integrated to have an experience in some sense of disintegration.
Yes, I understand. And can you say that when people go through this process, that they eventually are able to look at the pain that they are, trying to avoid?
Some of them do and some of them don't. Again, it depends upon the choices that have been made for this life theme. Many of them give themselves the probability to arrive at that conclusion, but some of them choose not to, and they make their assessments in spirit after the life.
Okay. And I don't know, maybe in general, does the pain has to do with, a lack of self-worth?
It can. In general, again, a very generalized answer, everyone will have a specific way of experiencing this if they choose to. All pain is the result, fundamentally, of resistance to the natural self.
Yeah, I understand.
Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I also have a couple of questions concerning the Anunnaki.
Yes.
You mentioned that the Anunnaki were the first to genetically alter the DNA of the natural evolved Homo erectus here on Earth.
Yes, because at that point, the Homo erectus was available and compatible enough through panspermia millions of years before that for them to make the alteration and find enough similarity in their genetics to do so.
I understand. And I was wondering, after the Homo sapiens came into existence, have there been other alterations in our DNA due to other extraterrestrial races?
Yes, especially the Greys.
Especially the
Although they're not really an extraterrestrial race in the classic sense.
No, I understand. But for instance, the Pleiadians or any race we know of, do they made some alterations in our DNA also?
Well, not exactly in the same context. Some have been, by agreement, an energy shift that creates an alteration in your DNA by having you be given a frequency that then you choose to align with to create the alteration. But it's not a physiological manipulation in the typical sense.
Okay, I understand. And you also mentioned that the Anunnaki evolved, but did they evolve into a non-physical?
A few of them have, but basically what you know as the Pleiadians is one of the evolutionary offshoots.
Okay. So are the Anunnaki genetically linked to other extraterrestrial races that we know of? Yeah, you just explained it.
Well, I said Pleiadian, yes.
Okay.
And others that you may not know of.
Okay. Okay. And also concerning what we now talked about, I was wondering if I'm correct in my understanding that the Greys and the human beings have the same Anunnaki ancestors, but that the genetic alteration...
Well, not exactly the same, because the Greys come from an alternate version of reality. So they had their own history of interaction with the Anunnaki, but they're not the same Anunnaki because those Anunnaki belong in an alternate parallel universe.
Okay. Okay. Because I was wondering, I read somewhere that as a result, the people who eventually evolved into the Greys had a different expression of these genetic alterations than the human beings in this timeline. But that makes sense. Yeah.
Although the idea is that the humans of that version of Earth didn't, quote unquote, evolve into the Greys. They mutated themselves on purpose to be able to handle the environment that existed when they destroyed their version of Earth.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I thought, it's a mutation. I thought
it's a mutation.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for this.
Yes. It is the reason why some of their DNA can be compatible with the DNA of humans on your version of Earth and other versions of Earth is because they actually started out as human.
Yes.
Otherwise, it would be too incompatible to create hybrids.
Hybrids, yes, exactly. Thank you for this.
Yes.
That was what I wanted to